Hi there. Welcome to the Lifestyle Herbalist Podcast, where we hope to bring you a healthy dose of happiness. I'm your host, Dabney Vaccaro, clinical herbalist, health coach, lover of plants.
And I'm Sabrina Cooper, registered culinary holistic nutritionist and herbalist. Join us as we dive into the art of herbalism, mindfulness, and healthy lifestyle practices to help you achieve a happier and healthier life. Whether you're a seasoned herbalist or just starting your wellness journey, we're here to provide you with the insights, tips, and inspiration for a more balanced and joyful existence. So grab your favorite herbal tea, sit back, and let's get a healthy dose of happiness together.
Well, welcome back to the Lifestyle Herbalist Podcast with Sabrina and Dabney. It's been a little bit since we've been on. We have been busy herbalists in the gardens and just getting ready for spring, cultivating our herbs, and already harvesting some of these beautiful magical plants. And so we wanted to just take this moment just to say welcome back, and we hope to bring you more wonderful content. But we want to just talk to you about what we've been doing in the last month or so with our gardening. I'm in Virginia, so spring for me comes much earlier than for Sabrina, who lives just outside Toronto. She has this beautiful cottage. And so winter for her is a little bit extended. So she is a little bit further behind with herbs and things than I am. But one of the things I have already harvested is nettle. Nettle is a beautiful plant, urtica, and it's a nourishing herbal food. So I'll talk a little bit about nettle in just a few minutes. So that's only one of the ones that I have cultivated. Sabrina, what have you been up to?
Well, it's been a busy few months. A few months, but a couple months, I guess. But, since we've been on and here in Canada, in Toronto, we've had some strange weather. So it's been warm, then cool, then warm, then cool. And like Dabney said, our winters are a little extended up here in the north of Toronto. So planting seeds and getting organized. I did a lot of things from seeds at home under grow lights to get started, to get a little bit advanced, because that's the best way to get that garden going, growing a little bit faster. So busy with that, tending to my little babies, as I say. And we have another extended plot at a friend's garden. It's the Wee Tree Farm that I love, and he offered to he has a community garden. So I also have space to put in seeds of plants that take up a lot of room, because as you know, a lot of these herbals grow big and vast, and they need a lot of space.
Yes.
So that's also been keeping me busy, and it's kind of fun to watch like the stages. You're like, oh, I don't know if anything's going to take, and it's like exciting, and you go back and then you get little seedlings, like you see the little sprouts popping up, and then like a couple days later, they get a little bigger and bigger. So it's really like fun watching as things grow. Like I think you can attest to that, Dabney. And so this is a really fun, busy time for us as herbalists, because, certain things have to be harvested early before they flower, before they go to seed. So there's small windows of opportunity, even though like some of these plants are so pretty popping up. You really want to harvest them before all of that happens. So I've been busy with that. I have a lot of right now, obviously my mints are popping up. Some of the chamomile is starting to pop up. I had some angelica and valerian root popping up. And of course the bee balms and what else? Bee balm and hyssop. And echinacea is popping up as well. So it's kind of fun. Nothing's, it's going along, and the lilacs obviously are beautiful too. And you can use the lilacs. So yeah.
Yeah. I've got hyssop growing. Catnip grows wild here. So I harvested a big fresh bunch of catnip. Nettle. I do have angelica, but it is in its second year, so it's dying off this year. But it's absolutely gorgeous. Like it is. I've never grown it before. It is one of my favorite plants. Like it is absolutely gorgeous.
grows so tall and it's
It
so
does.
beautiful. And
And the
it's
little
just,
flowers look like pom-poms.
yes, I love it. It's like one of my, I know it's one of those that you just kind of want to keep in your garden forever, right? And I actually did something interesting. I harvested in our neighborhood, it's really untouched. So there's a lot of wild lilacs. So I went
Mm,
around and harvested. I haven't got around to posting the reel because I've just been, again, super busy. But I went around and harvested the flowers of the lavender, no,
mm.
lilac,
Oh, the
and
lilac.
cut them all off. And I made a simple syrup, lilac simple syrup, to
Mm.
add like a cordial to your sparkling water. So you can make like mocktails. And some people are like,
Oh,
I
very
don't know if I
nice.
want the flavor of lilac because, it's a little bit strong, but it actually has a really nice
Yeah, it's
flavor.
mild.
It's mild, and you hardly taste it, but it's just that little like, and you're like, oh, I like it's there's something about it. And I thought you could probably even use it like making some like nice shortbreads or something like that, like just that little hint of
Mhm.
lilac. So sort of similar to lavender, I suppose, right? But
Yeah,
yeah, so that was kind of a fun,
that was fun.
yeah, something different, right? You want
Yeah,
to try all these things. And like I said, lilac, as you know, has a very short window. It's like it goes from beautiful and fragrant to falling off the tree and not so fragrant and not so
yeah, it is.
pleasant,
It
right?
blooms quickly. Hmm.
So yeah, so it's been great. And Dabney and I were toying with having a live, and we thought, let's just hop on to explain why we haven't had a podcast for a while because it's been a minute, and we kind of just fell off, and didn't give any warning. And the summer, as you know, for us is very short, and then it falls into the winter seasons really quickly. So we take this opportunity to be in our gardens, which is our happy place. And I think what we'll do is we will do a live on Instagram and kind of after we've talked about all these things, so you can visually see where we've been and what we've been up to.
Yeah, and even how to harvest some
Yeah.
things. I have quite a few herbs that are sitting on screens, just drying out. And then I'll harvest them, the leaves, I'll throw the stems out or compost them. But I've harvested my oregano. I've harvested, like I said, nettle and some lemon balm. My house is coming along quite well. It's really huge this year. Um,
And those kind of come back. So it's like people are afraid to cut them back, but lemon balm will keep
oh my
growing.
gosh. Yeah,
So you kind of have to, and oregano as well. My oregano is wild this year.
mm,
So, it's a great one. You can also make like oils, right? You can put it into
oh yeah,
oil and
very, very volatile oils.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
can put it into olive oil. So you have like a flavored olive oil to put on your dressings or right? You
Mhm.
can make salts. I've done that before,
Oh
flavored
yeah,
salts,
yeah,
herbal salts. So you can do a lot of spices, like different spice mixes with all your different herbs so that you don't have to like, in the winter months, it's really nice, or you just dehydrate them and they'll rehydrate. So you can have fresh herbs all the time. So there's so many ways that we've just been, you know, like you said, drying and teaching. It would be really nice to just hop on and show people what to do. Raspberry leaves, even you want to get those before they flower and they fruit, right? So raspberry bushes are crazy right now too.
yeah. And the reason, I mean, Sabrina's mentioned a couple times to getting herbs before they flower. The reason that we want to do that is because we have the energy. The medicine is in the plant and the stems. But once a plant goes to flower, then all the energy moves up into the flower. And so while the plant and leaves are still medicinal, that the potency is not quite as strong. So capturing an herb before it goes into flower allows you to have more of that medicinal properties for your tinctures, your teas, your salves, whatever have you that you're going to make with your plant. It just allows you to have more of that medicine in that the constituents of the leaf. And there are some things like St. John's wort, let's say, that the
Okay.
medicine is in the flower. So you want to wait until it gets to the flower because you only want to use the flower. The medicine is not so much in the stems and the leaves. So knowing what plant you're dealing with allows you to know when and where and how to harvest it. Angelica that we're talking about, um, we can use the leaf, but really the root is where a lot of the medicine is. And so you wait until fall until the plant dies back, and then you can harvest the root because then the energy, is really going up into the plant and the flower. And so there's not a lot in a root. But once it dies down, all that energy then goes back into the root, and the root is actually what you harvest. Dandelion, you can use all the parts of a dandelion, but if you're going to use the root, it's best to use it in the fall when it's no longer leaf or it's no more flower that's coming out of it, because again, that medicine is distributed through the leaf and flower and not as much in the root.
Yeah, good. Perfect. That's what I was just going to say, that sometimes you do want the flowers. Another one I was going to say, I don't know if you have it in your garden, comfrey.
Oh, I do have comfrey.
And that one is really pretty too. It's a big green leaf. It kind of takes up a lot of space, but it also does have beautiful little flowers on it. And it's a touchy one because there's been some controversy about it, using it like
internally.
Internally. So the way that can be used, comfrey can be used, is I made a little salve. I make salves out of it. So a salve is like a little like like a cream sort of, right? Like for better words. And I use that for like little burns, back pain. It's really good for like arthritis, things like that. So we've had really good results with it. So I'm really, really enjoying it. And then you can add in some like lavender as well, so that it's even more calming. So that's just something that I've done with the comfrey.
Yeah, comfrey is a part of my first aid in my Boo Boo Away product that I make. The Boo Boo Away is more of a just a roll on, so it's an oil that you can just roll on. It carries very easily in like your purse or your backpack if you're out, and it's really great for mosquito bites. My my daughter, where she lives, she's in a very shady area, so lots of mosquitoes where she is. So she lives and goes by the Boo Boo Away. Keeps her from being so itchy. But the first aid salve, you can carry that with you too. But you can just put that on cuts and burns, and it's part of. And it's a vulnerary, get that word out there, which means it's great for skin. Comfrey is a great skin healer, but caution with comfrey is that if you certainly have like a bad scrape or something, or like gravel or something that's in your wound, comfrey heals from the skin down. So if you have not cleaned out your wound really well, you want to avoid comfrey, because it will knit that skin together. And if there's something down in that skin, it can fester. So you want it for a scratch or a burn or something like that, it's certainly a wonderful vulnerary to use. Meanwhile, St. John's wort, Hypericum perforatum, if you think about perforatum, it's that one is usually used for puncture wounds. So that one heals from the bottom up. So if you have a really deep wound, St. John's wort salve is a great one to have for that, or even just an oil. Yeah. Do you have St. John's wort that grows in your area?
I do, but it doesn't, like, you have to, yeah, I do. It does
Okay.
take, like, I'm just growing it now. So I'm going to try this other form and see, like, there's St. John's wort topaz. Have you heard of that?
No.
Oh, so I'm trying something new and seeing by
Okay.
seed in this farm. We'll see how it goes. There's always like, and that's the thing with us as well. Like, right, Dabney? Like, we sometimes we do these little trials to see as something will take, or over winter, or you have to stratify something, which means you have to, harden, like make it hard, like put it in the fridge and let it go cold stratify. So it gets this cold burst, and then you put it into the ground. So sometimes you have to do these things too first before you put things in the ground. So I think a lot of people don't know that either. And sometimes when they put seeds in the ground and they don't quite know how to do the cold stratification, or they haven't read that and think, oh, I probably don't need it, I'm fine, and they put it in the ground. Sometimes we've done tests where I don't know if in Virginia as well, but because we get these cold winters, a lot of people overwinter them. So sometimes I put the seeds in the fall, let them go through the winter, and see if something will pop up in the spring, right? To see if that will help as well, because it's getting that cold stratification, that cold burst to them. So there's things like that also we've been doing. And trial and tribulation. Sometimes some things take, some things don't. Then you have also, your little animals and critters that come along and like to take things out of your garden. So that's also, the weather plays a really big role and a factor in our things. So, don't get discouraged. It kind of is my message to any new gardeners out there, or anybody who wants to try the hands at growing some herbs or flowers or whatnot. Just be patient because it's worth all your hard work. And it is a lot of work, but when you see things popping up and you go, wow, like I did this, and getting your hands in the ground, like there's days where I'm exhausted, and Dabney can attest to that. You have a day full of your everyday things. And once you get your hands into that soil, walk on the grass barefoot, get into that, garden and see the beautiful things that are popping up. Somehow all those problems or all those things that you had during the day just wash away. I also like being in the garden, watering in the morning and listening to all the birds and everything just waking up in the morning, because it's best a lot of times to water in the morning so that your plants have time to absorb that, the water, and get the nutrients from the sun and everything in the air. And where at night you don't want, perhaps it won't dry out in time and you'll have that water sitting, right? So sometimes it's not great. But yeah, so I just love, that's just my happy place. My happy place is like gardening. And I feel like it's just, you can't get discouraged. I just some days think, oh, I planted that, it didn't take, but you know what? Other things did. So I just have to appreciate what
Yeah.
has been. And
And
it's like,
sometimes things choose you. Like I went out to the
exactly.
garden and there's a white vervain growing. I
Oh,
did
nice.
not plant it. It just mysteriously appeared and it chose to live in my herbal garden this year. And so I'm excited to learn about white vervain because I've never used it before. I didn't even know exactly what it was. I had to look it up. And it is very a medicinal property. It is great for like colds and flu. And I'm
Nice.
going to learn more about white vervain. So anyway, sometimes things just choose you. And these weeds, as we call them, like when I looked at that, it's like, what kind of weed is that? Well, when I discovered it, it's like, oh, this is a medicinal weed. This is a good one. This isn't just some little, thing that's going to take over my garden and not really prove to be worthwhile. So anyway, it gets to live there, and I'm going to see what materializes with it, and I'm going to try and use it to make some type of tincture or salve or something, and we'll see what it does. I'm excited about it. So yeah, sometimes things just choose you, and sometimes herbs know what you need, and they show up when you need them. So if something doesn't grow, maybe it's just not the right time, or you're not needing it at that moment. So be patient, like Sabrina says, and just see what the world brings you. See what the universe is what needs to grow for you.
And I was going to say, when you said that about the things that call you, some days when you're in the garden and you just happen to brush by something, or you're in the garden, all of a sudden the wind picks up a scent. It's also like the aromatherapy also calls to you, right? It might be that scent that you need. And then all of a sudden you're just uplifted from that, or you calm down from that scent that wafts through the air. That's something in your garden that you hadn't really went in there to actually check on, or something like that. Or maybe that plant needs a little bit of attention, so it's calling you to the plant. So I think the garden is just something so medicinal in so many ways. And like, there's that saying that, it's like life. I said, you tend to it, you care for it, and then you get rid of, Dabney said, there's some weeds that are very beneficial, but then there's some that really aren't. They can, harm your garden. And it's just like in life, you just get rid of those things that don't serve you, and you keep the things that do, right? And so it's if you think of it that way, there's always something to learn from nature and in the garden, and see how you can attract like butterflies and birds and bring everything in unison to your garden as well. So
Certainly.
I think it's really just fun when you actually start to get into it. And again, it's not for everyone. I'm not saying everybody like turns out, and sometimes, yeah. So just keep at it. And if you think you want to do it, there's so many apps out there. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of groups that you can join. For me, I wanted to learn more about floral and creating a pollinator garden. So I joined the Horticultural Society in my area, and there's a lot of really experienced gardeners who started just like me, didn't really know, joined a club, and now they're like experts, in their right. So there's that as well. You can,
There are a lot of classes online.
yeah,
There's a lot of YouTube videos. There's a lot of information. Like the internet has opened up a plethora of information, and to the point where information can seem overwhelming and an overload. So I would suggest for a new herbalist coming on, rather than trying to do everything, which is kind of what I was trying to do, everything, it is overwhelming. So I would suggest find an area that you're most interested in. If you are in menopause and you're interested in maybe women's health, maybe just look up a couple, one, two herbs that are really good for menopause. If you have children who have some issues going on, maybe just look up some things that are good for children and maybe just work on those couple of things until you feel confident or at least secure in those things. And then you can broaden your horizons a little bit more. I would say just step slowly into it because it can be very overwhelming because there are so many herbs. And although there are lots of herbs can do multiple things. So nettle is very great in that it's a food. So you can make a pesto, you can add it to a salad, you can make it into any kind of a soup dish. It's a food. But nettle's also great for people, men with prostate issues. So even though nettle is considered the prostate herb, it's good for other things too. So I would steer you to be cautious with pigeonholing certain herbs. Echinacea has been known and touted for the immune boosting therapy, but echinacea is good for so many other things. So I would just be careful about pigeonholing and just looking at the broad view and the wide angle lens of an herb because most of them have other properties and benefits than just what maybe it's talked about the most.
For sure. I agree. And on stinging nettle, I don't know if you mentioned, but just to be careful handling the stinging nettle because it has a name, stinging nettle, because it has a little bit of a sting to it when you touch it. So be very mindful because I do have it on my lakeside and it grows wild. And
Mhm.
sometimes you're just like, oh, I'm cleaning out and kind of around there. And then you touch it and it's like,
It lets you know when you're close.
it does. It gives you and it goes away, but it's like it's like that. It really does sting like a bee sting almost. It's like it
Yeah.
numbs almost your hand. And so just be very mindful of that you're attentive to these things, like because that's their protection, right? As well. And
Yeah.
and so I think also what you were saying is is start small and grow from there. And even if it's just planting some herbs, like oregano, mint, these kind of things, because that is great in itself. And you can use food wise, or you can use it for other things. And those are great places to start, I think, right? In your garden. And yeah, I really think that that's a really great way to start adding things into your life medicinally.
Yeah, even if it's just picking out a few things, like even with the lemon balm, it's a mint, so it will grow wild. I've already harvested my lemon balm twice. I've had one cutting and then it grew again and I had another cutting. So it's just doing really well this year. But just I crunch up a few leaves and just put it in my water bottle. It just adds a nice little lemon flavor. Lemon verbena, same way, very lemony flavor. Just crushing up some of the leaves and just adding them to your water. It's got that lemon zest, or flavor, but it also gives you that sense of calm. The lemon balm and the verbena mainly is for like respiratory, but it's allergy season. So I was just out with a leaf blower before hopping on to get things kind of cleaned up around here because we still have lots of pollen everywhere. And I don't normally have allergies, but I was noticing like I started like sneezing and then I was coughing because I was just stirring up all that pollen. And of course, I was breathing it in. And anyway, I'm thinking I'm going to go get some lemon verbena. I'm going to crush up some leaves and put it in my water bottle today so I can get some lung support there.
And that's the beauty of it. Like when you have your garden, I miss it in the winter because it's like I'm so happy that I can just go out and pick things and have my own little like medicine cabinet in my garden. But in the winter, it's hard. Like, I mean, I have little windowsill gardens and things like that for certain things, but it's just so nice that you can like at any time that you need something, pick something and it will help with something, like a sting, plantain, chewing it up, put it on. Like, I got stung by a bee the other day, crushed it up, put it right on, took away the sting. It's just these little things, right? I don't know. It's just so, I have a lot of fun in it. And that's why we've been away. That's why we stepped away from podcasting and being indoors, because we want to be outdoors. And maybe we'll start just taking our podcast outside, and recording it outside probably would be a good idea, so that you can hear the birds and everything that we're enjoying during this season. So that being said, we'll be back and maybe a little sporadic. We don't try to set timelines for us. We kind of go, okay, when we're available, because we both lead very busy lives, and now throwing in the garden, it's even more hectic. But we do like having our listeners listen in. So we will be bringing some guests back. And if you have anything you'd like to hear, or know anyone that you think would be a great addition to our podcast for listeners, please chime in and send us an email, or reach out to us on Instagram.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, happy gardening, everyone. Have a beautiful day, and we'll be in touch soon. And stay tuned. We're planning to do a live coming up on Instagram to let you know what's going on with us and show you our gardens and what we've been up to.
That's amazing. Can't wait.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Bye. How do you see the future of stone medicine evolving, especially around the context of traditional healing practices?
I will say, so my teacher, Jenny Ray, her lineage is Santi Dakota. And she was usually traditions are passed down in a family lineage from parent to child. And she was the only one in her family to take up the tradition from her father, Chaz. And she doesn't have children who are taking on the tradition. And even on Pine Ridge, where her father grew up and where she spent some of her childhood, she could not find people interested in learning this modality. And so she and a number of chiefs and elders from the Sioux Nation and also from the Nez Perce Nation, who she also studied with some Nez Perce healers. They all decided that they would give permission for this tradition to be taught to non-Native Americans and off the reservation. So I guess my hope is that this tradition survives colonization. And I hope to be part of that effort to keep it going.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you are a teacher. You do teach this at Cedar Stone, is that correct?
Cedar Stone sometimes can invite me to teach, and I can also travel and host teachings elsewhere. So, and I have not had my first training. I've assisted other people, and so I'm eager to get started. Yeah.
You have a wonderful gift to share for those who are looking for alternative ways of just living. And so if you were to leave today and wanting our audience to know what's the major takeaway of the things that you've learned and what could bring the healthy dose of happiness to our viewers, our listeners, what do you think that would be?
I'm going to steal the tidbit of the day that I heard my elder Jenny Ray give on an interview, which is a traditional teaching that she learned that is, it's stated, live in this breath. So it's similar to the statement, maybe live in the now. It's even more specific to like this very second that it will take to breathe this breath. So the teaching is, instead of entertaining anxiety about tomorrow or regrets and guilt and all the things that haunt us from the past, to try to be present in this moment and the people we're with.
Charlotte, I love that. Those are such wise words, really. And if we could just think about that, wow, what a difference we can make in our own lives and just be happy and joyful.
100%.
Yeah.
And if where can we find you or more information on your teachings and your healing? Where can we?
I do have a website, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram. My business name is Wild Poppy Healing Arts. So I have a website under that name and Facebook under that name.
Right. And we'll have it all in the show notes for sure. So
you can call me as well. Yeah, you can put my phone number there as well.
And do you do things on video conference? I know that the stone healing is hard to do, not in person, but can you do some healing like virtually for those listeners that are away, not in Virginia or close to you?
I never have.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm willing to travel to do trainings if people are interested and can maybe partner with me to find a group of people on location.
Yeah. And maybe even put on a healing workshop somewhere that, is having a healing conference. I think you would be great and have a lot to share in your wisdom and your journey and your paths. So you are amazing, Charlotte. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I think I'm going to be calling you real soon.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks so much for having me. It was lovely to talk to you both.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was great talking to you.
All right, folks. Well, join us next time for the Lifestyle Herbalist podcast, where you'll find a healthy dose of happiness. Bye.